superhero movies for a while were a quick buck. It seemed like it was like this is a sure thing.
Yeah.
Put a superhero movie out, we're gonna make money.
Mm.
And now I think we're past that point. I think we're
Definitely.
And this movie seems to be the one that put the nail in the coffin. Like this one to me is like I mean the Marvels didn't do well either.
Yeah.
Box office wise.
Right.
But this one to me seems like it's very clear now that you can't just have a superhero movie and that's it. And ride that to the box office, the big box office, Like, it's not gonna work anymore.
Yeah.
So I think this really not that it's the fault of this movie, but there's been enough now where it's just there's a problem.
Right.
And these aren't doing as well as they were.
Yeah.
This is Geek Off The Street, your go-to channel for all things from obscure geekdom to modern-day pop culture and everything else in between.
What's up, everybody?
Here we go.
That's all the web shooting you're gonna get.
Yeah, for real.
You don't get any of it.
Right. Yeah.
In the movie that we're talking about.
We're doing you a favor.
Yeah. So, to help you out, give you a little act. Wait, my name is Trent.
And my name is Marc.
And this is Geek Off The Street. Greatest podcast all the time. Talk about geek culture, pop culture, whatever else we want. Deal with it. This week is no exception because as we were saying, we're doing the web shooter thing.
Yeah, right. If you haven't done the math already, I'm sure you have.
Yes, because we're talking about the newly released.
Yes, Madam Web that just came out on the 14th.
Yeah.
Wednesday, Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Very tricky. They're trying to give themselves an extended long
opening
weekend.
Yeah.
We see what you're doing.
Doesn't seem to be working as far as we can tell, but that's what we're talking about, Madam Web. Yeah. The recent entry into the Sony Spider-Verse.
Yeah. They keep going. They're just running with it.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing something.
They're doing stuff.
But I think they're struggling a bit. But that's what we're gonna talk about today. And man, I either have a lot or nothing to say. Really. We're really talking about that, but that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. I'm gonna surprise you a little bit. I'm going to say some positive things.
Okay.
I'm going to I think maybe, and this is gonna be a controversial statement, maybe it's not as bad as some people think.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Do you truly feel that way, or are you just playing devil's advocate?
No, normally I do, and and today is no exception. No, it's not great, but I think there are a couple of decent moments in it. There are some moments that I thought were pretty good.
Okay.
Overall, I'll put it this way too. I still think the Morbius movie is worse than this one. Morbius was really bad, but I know there are people that feel like this actually
is worse than that.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna necessarily argue with that, but I feel like there were some pretty good moments in here, like somewhere like a little section in the middle. So
okay.
So I'm gonna defend.
Okay. No, I'm fair enough. I got some things to say about it too. So
yeah.
But before we do that, what are we drinking this week? This is from my friend at work, Gio. It's a suggestion that he threw at me. It's called the Blue
and Trent
Corona.
Caught it.
Yeah, I caught it. It's called the Blue Corona, and it's literally just a Corona beer, which I've had in a long time, and actually kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
But also a little bit of tequila, lime juice, and some blue curacao. That's why I have that really nice blue color. Mm-hmm. And it's actually kind of refreshing.
Blue Corona.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the tequila and the lime.
Really,
that's a great mix
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like the beer is just like a medium.
I don't know if it's because it mixes well because of the Mexican lager, but I mean, either way. I've been told that you can only use Mexican lagers for like micheladas and those kind of drinks. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, because I can't imagine there's too much of a difference in the brewing process.
Yeah,
there's I don't know, there's a little bit of truth to that.
Yeah, but I actually do like this.
Yeah,
it's refreshing. It's a really good summer drink in the middle of the winter. But to be fair, it's been warm these last few days. It's kind of hot today at work, so
little bit. Mm-hmm. No, it is good.
Thanks, Gio.
Yeah.
It's good. It's refreshing. Mm-hmm. Might have I got a few of those actually in the night, I think.
Yeah, that's not too bad. That's easy to make too. So
yeah, most definitely. So you'll see the short on how to do it. It's very simple. Mm-hmm. But yeah, all right, let's get into quick shout outs. Got a couple shout outs to make.
Do a shout out.
One super shout out to Zoe. She's awesome.
Yay.
She's still liking and responding to everything.
Daughter
She's in Ireland right now.
Oh,
on vacation.
Up. Nice.
Yeah, going to she's like get in touch with her roots, she said.
Nice. That's awesome.
But man, I've always wanted to go to Ireland, one of my top spots.
Yes, you said that.
But here's also a very cool thing about Zoe. I added her from my ramen channel.
Yeah.
Apparently she makes ramen. She makes handmade like noodles, and she has even like an electronic machine that flattens and cuts some noodles. And she sent me a bunch of pictures of her ramen. I was like, wait a minute, you make ramen too? I was like, this is awesome. So
wow.
So she makes handmade noodles as well.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So which is it?
You're like the only two people I know
that make the handmade noodles specifically for ramen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Same. Yeah.
That's nuts.
So shout out to Zoe. She's super awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Another shout out to Will, obviously, Wilbur McKesson.
Yes.
We're doing this book giveaway. You guys need to step it up, man. These questions are not that hard, in my opinion. Right. But yeah, there's
some of you that are getting questions wrong. You should not be getting these.
Yeah,
wrong.
these are pretty softballs because they're supposed to get harder. And if you guys can't get the easy ones right, they're in trouble. On top of that, you guys aren't even following both of us. Like some of you guys have been getting the answers right, but you're not following us and author Wilbur.
There's the trick.
So yeah, we're struggling. You guys are struggling with that. So I'll make sure I'm gonna start tagging you guys specifically who are not following us both because your points are not answered.
Right. It's like you would be winning right now, but
yeah, Greg, if you're listening, both of your sons are not following Wilbur, and both of them are answering questions every week, and they're getting them right too. Some of them are getting some of them right. So.
Still love you guys.
Yeah,
you're my boys. You're my boys.
But yeah. Also a shout out to Popcorn Movie Kernels. Damn it! What is the name of this podcast?
That's actually pretty funny.
They're called the Podcorn Kernels.
Okay.
The Podcorn Kernels, and they review movies.
Nice.
And they are, I think they're out of the UK. That's what they sound like. But they reached out to us and just added us and said, hey, you want to do a follow for a follow? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, whatever, we'll follow you. And then I went above and beyond. I was like, I'll listen to your podcast today. And I'll leave a review for you guys.
Right on.
And and they're like, oh, you're the nicest person we talked to all day today. I was like, that sucks. If I'm the nice person you talk to, yeah. She must have talking to some real pieces of shit, no dirtbags. Yeah. But I actually listened to their podcast, man, and they're both really funny.
Nice.
There's a couple of cheeky
lads.
Yeah, in the UK, they have that real funny British humor. They're funny.
That's cool.
And then they also break down movies the same way you and I do. Like they really get into the meat of them. And these guys,
cool.
I would love to go to the pub with these guys, get a pint,
and
talk about movies because these guys they get down and into it, man.
Wow,
and they talk about them like that. I haven't met, not to say that I am special or you're special, but like. We talk about movies a specific way. We really get into them and break them down. And these guys also really get into it. And I don't really know a lot of people that watch movies or talk about movies the way that we do, you know? These guys, Podcorn Kernels, these guys are awesome. So, very good podcast.
Yeah, great endorsement,
been around for about a year. Yeah, check them out. They're great. But yeah, that's a shout out there. And I think that's it for sure. I felt like I had one more, but maybe that's it. If I come up with it later, we'll talk about it later.
So,
let's get into this movie, Madam Web. As we were saying, it's in the Sony Spider-Verse.
So it is separate from Marvel and Disney.
Yeah, which has been a kind of a problem. Apparently, people are not realizing these are two different. Like laymen's aren't realizing, even the actresses.
I was just about to say, I heard the actors didn't know.
They didn't even know that they weren't a part of the MCU. You know?
I heard. What's her name? I was about to call her Daytona.
Dakota Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah,
Daytona.
and Sydney Sweeney. They both had tagged Marvel Studios as like, we're excited for the movie, and then like, it's not our movie.
Yeah, and I heard Dakota like she fired her manager.
Right.
It's like this isn't. Yeah.
Right.
That's hilarious.
Like, if they were, and I'm not sure. Like, I don't know what was the disconnect. Like maybe and there's two things. It could be one, they're led on.
Yeah.
Or two, they are among the people that aren't really connected. Because if you listen to Dakota's interviews,
she has not watched.
Yeah, she hasn't watched any of the movies.
Yeah,
is what she said. She hasn't seen a full movie.
Yeah,
You know, and that's what that's fine. It doesn't
right? Exactly.
I don't care about
yeah,
that. You know, I even kind of laughed when she was that interview. She was talking about you see the one where she's like, "Can you name the 3 movies that Tom Holland was in?"
And they're all these just like, ridiculous names.
Here he comes. And I was like, I thought it was kind of funny. Like,
right,
here he comes. He's back again. I was like, that's pretty funny. And I like that about it. She just really like she owns it. She doesn't doesn't know anything about it. And she doesn't care that she doesn't. You know, and that's that. That's
you 100% don't have to be. You're an actor. You do. I get that
you get hired for a role,
right? And that's not the stuff that she's necessarily into. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Sydney Sweeney, bless her soul, I guess she went and read all of Julia Carpenter's comic books.
Did she?
She just tried to get the character right, and
I'm surprised that they. I don't want to say let her, but normally they like a lot of studios now they don't want people reading. Even like with The Last of Us, they didn't want
them playing the game.
Yeah, they didn't want them playing the game. They didn't want them learning anything about it.
Yeah.
Well, even like with all the Marvel writers, like all of those Marvel writers have not read any of the source material.
Yeah.
Which
clearly.
But clearly. And then they I don't want to say they admit it. That makes it sound like they're guilty of something, but they kind of are. But yeah, they freely say, now we haven't read any of it. We haven't done any, we haven't done this, or it's like, I mean, I can appreciate you wanting to do something different from the comic book or whatever. Yeah. That's fine. That's good. But you need to understand and know something about the character.
Something about it.
Yeah, if you're going to write about them.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's just, it's funny stuff. And
funny stuff. That's a good way of saying it. It's odd. It's odd.
It's a little bit. Like, it's so counterintuitive.
Yeah, exactly. With the industry that they're in and with the topic they're trying to talk about, like, why would you go about that way? Why would you go against the grain and try to do your own thing and reinvent the wheel with something that's established? You know what I mean? Like, especially something like as beloved as this. You know, if you're gonna like take, I don't know, Flash Gordon or something and redo your own thing, a modern version of that, I can't imagine too many people would be mad about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Yeah, especially like the deep history of Flash Gordon. Yeah, it's gonna be like a handful of people.
Exactly. So I don't think too many people would be mad about that. But with something like Marvel, like
there's a huge following. Yeah, that's the reason why you're making these movies is because there's a huge following for it.
So tread a little more carefully. You'd think, but
I mean, I guess they're figuring it doesn't matter because like let's say if you're talking about the population, let's be generous and say 20% of the population knows about Marvel. They figure, well, we'll just put out something with the Marvel name on it, and it's going to get the other 80%.
Yeah. The rest of the crowd,
And they think that it's going to work, but
that's true. Yeah. Because there was a time that these movies. I mean, no, there wasn't a time, but there was a time when it wasn't like no one was catering to geeks at all. There was a time where that was the case, and then now. They kind of are, but they still really aren't. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways.
Big time. They're not.
So it's weird, but this is what it is, I guess. So I guess back into this movie, huh?
Yes.
So essentially, Madam Web, I think premiered in the 80s in the comic books. I know I read a little bit of the history, but those of you guys don't know, Madam Web is the old lady that's in the. Essentially can see the future. She's connected to the spider, spider web verse thing, and that's and she basically she provides guidance, I think.
I was gonna say she was kind of like, because I know she, was providing this guidance to Spider-Man for a while. It reminded me of like the Charlie Angels whatever kind of thing. Like there's this. All-powerful, I shouldn't say all-powerful being, but there's a boss that's sending you out on missions kind of thing. Yeah. They even did that with Wonder Woman. Like they reinvented Wonder Woman for a while. You remember that where they they depowered her?
Oh, yeah.
And they turned her into like essentially like a spy, a secret agent kind of thing. And she had this guy that was like
Diana Prince,
telling her what to do. You got to go here, you got to go there, and
I remember that.
It was an interesting choice. I see what they were doing. It was like the 60s, and they were trying to kind of capitalize, I think, on that, that I don't say girl power, but that woman power movement that was kind of coming along that really took off in the 70s. Yeah. So I kind of see what they were doing, and she was this you know, she didn't have any powers, but she was like this, you know, she could fight, she could shoot.
Mm-hmm.
It just made her seem like that she was like, I don't want to say the ultimate, you know, person kind of thing, but yeah. So I kind of see what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wasn't a great idea necessarily. I don't think anybody liked it, but
yeah, it wasn't executed real well. And they were very, man, like I was watching some of the interviews with the writers, and they're just like, yeah, we isn't really a major character, so we were kind of able to do what we wanted with it. And I was like, well, that's the problem. You're taking a character that maybe has never had her own standalone comic, maybe, if I were to guess.
Oh, Madam Web,
her own standalone run.
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, if I can think of it off the top of my head either. Maybe one shots and stuff here and there, but I can't imagine there's an actual run of just Madam Web comics.
Right.
One, and then two, to just use that as an opportunity to like do what you want. Like it's clearly not a good idea.
Yeah.
And then also to not do it well. Like on top of that, to also what you did wasn't good either. So it's just a big dumpster fire.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that's interesting. That's what. Yeah, they basically said like, yeah, there was no history. I mean, there is obviously, but according to, again, these guys don't really do their homework.
Yeah.
That they thought they could just kind of make up, you know, whatever they wanted to, and on some level that would be very tempting because you would think, oh, there's not going to be any backlash from whatever, but again, like, you know, I said, if they had done their homework, they would realize that there is a following, that there is a history, and you have just, you know, dumped all over it.
Yeah.
And when I heard that they're going to do a Madam Web movie, I think everybody that knows anything about comics, when they heard about a Madam Web movie, like it was laughter, and then like, that's not real. That's not real. You can't. There's no point. There's no reason.
Yeah, I think there might have been an episode where we talked about it. I think I told you, I was like, oh yeah, Madam Web is the movie getting made, and you're like, why? Like, what is like, what is like? Who asked for that? Like, what? You're like, what could that even be?
Yeah.
Like, what could that movie even be about?
Yeah.
With as little as a character she is, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And she doesn't. I mean, in the comic book, she's just an elderly person. Yeah. She's like floating around on the web, like, you know, Loki at the end of his series. She's just in the ether, and like, what is she going to be doing? Yeah. Maybe they could have done like a prequel to before she became and that's kind of what this might be, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah. That I guess that's what it's supposed to be. Like, it's supposed to be some sort of this is how she started and how she did whatever she did.
Yeah, she's probably really, by the time Peter comes of age, she'll be a middle-aged woman.
Right. Well, she'll be in her 50s essentially, because she's like 30 something in 2003.
Oh, is that okay?
And Peter's just now getting born.
Yeah.
So
so she'll be like,
you know, however old Peter was when he got bitten, 15, 16.
Yeah.
So it's going to be another, you know, so she'll be 45. In the comic book, she seems like she's closer to 70.
She's pretty old, yeah.
Yeah, at least,
old,
you know. So, yeah.
So they're definitely messing the timeline up there a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say that I did like the idea that they were going to do something different with the character, as in making her like this young woman, as opposed to, you know, going with the figure from the comic book, you know, someone that is, you know, elderly or whatever. So I appreciate that they were trying to put a spin on it that could, you know, reach out to, you know, newer people that don't know anything about her. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. This would be the way to reach that audience too.
Yeah.
Or to get that out, you know. But yeah, so should we just get into some positives?
Yeah.
Not very many, to be honest with you. But I like you. I don't think, like, a lot of people were saying that this is the worst movie they have ever seen ever.
Right.
And I think that's a little harsh.
Yeah.
Because there are some bad movies, and I've mentioned those bad movies already in the past, on our past episodes, that are really, really bad. And this movie isn't good at all. For me, it's not good at all. But the worst movie I've ever seen, that's a little bit much.
I think you're trying too hard to be really mean or whatever.
Trying to kind of ride that wave of let's shit on Madam Web, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm not defending it ever in any way, but I don't think I walked away like angry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there were a few parts in the middle where I was like, I actually I like the concept of seeing short bursts into the future, and making sense of that and trying to.
That could have been great.
That could have been
great.
Yeah, it could have been a really great idea. Yeah, and there could have been some good like stuff in there about like not being able to change the future, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like there could have been like that kind of stuff could have really been gotten into, regardless if she has the power of seeing the future. Doesn't mean you can change it. You know, that's a great concept. They didn't really do that, but there were some moments in there where I was like kind of okay with. I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting that they're using that power, that ability. There's that. I guess it's kind of cool that they're really drawing in some deep Spider-Man characters or spider characters, like Adanya. I've been reading Adanya for a long time, man. Way back. This is an old Marvel Next comic book. So I've been reading her comics for a while, so I knew who she was before this movie came out. And I was like, that's a deep cut, man. Not a lot of people know who that is. Or like the other two, like Julia Carpenter.
Yeah.
Like I know of her. I've read some comics where she's crossed over, but I don't know a lot about her. So they brought in these characters that we don't know a lot about that are real deep cuts, and they tried to bring them into the cinema world, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's cool that we're getting that. But yeah, that might be
that's
where I'm at for positives.
That's where I stopped. Yeah, I will say, I was about to say, and maybe it's more of a negative possibly, but yeah, the whole thing about, seeing in the future, yeah, they really could have gone into that. And for a second, I thought maybe they would. I mean, like for a second, but
yeah.
Well, I hoped. Or I realized like, oh, that's something you guys should probably run with, this whole, her, dealing with that. I thought it could have been really interesting, her coming to, it would have been nice to see on film, her coming to terms with the fact that she, like when she realized she could change what she saw, and then she thinks about the guy that she let die, essentially. I mean, it wasn't her fault, but when her chief died, that could have been that could have been a really great moment where it hits her, where it's like, wow, I could have saved him. You know what I mean? I could have done something,
and it seemed like they were gonna do that, and then they glossed over it.
And they kept moving after that.
Right.
I did like, there was an interesting moment. Well, I shouldn't say moment, but it was an interesting block. I think when she first met those girls, like, and those girls on some level, some of them were a little annoying because they were so like, Tony, bring it down a notch,
Yeah.
But I'm glad they weren't like that all the way through. I'm glad when Madam Webb, I can't think of her name. Well, her name was Webb.
Cassie,
yeah, when she told them, like, you guys, I loved the scene where when they were in the taxi cab and they were first getting away, when they stole the taxi, and she's telling them like to shut up, and I mean that felt realistic. That felt like that was a natural reaction. She grabbed these kids, and she didn't want to deal with them, she didn't want to bother with them, and they were kind of running off at the mouth, and she was telling them to shut up. I like that. I thought that was cool. Like I said, it made sense. So I liked that when she stepped up and, was kind of, so to speak, putting them in their place. That made sense. I did like that they were running from this. Did they ever give that guy a name? I know his name was like Eric something, I think, but they never called him anything. Yeah, the bad guy.
Ezekiel.
That's why, not Eric. Ezekiel. Yeah.
I think I think that was a character.
Yeah, he's a real character.
But he wasn't. I don't think he was a villain in the book. I think.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah. I know. I've seen pictures. I think he was like, out of his costume.
Like an older dude, right?
Exactly. He's an older guy, right? I liked the concept of a bad Spider-Man. I thought that was kind of cool. That they. This guy had all these spider powers and no web fluid, which is clearly something you need. And it seemed like he didn't have the spider sense either. It seems like.
It seemed like, yeah.
Yeah, because he was getting caught like all the time.
Getting hit by a lot of cars.
You get, yeah. How many times are you gonna get hit by a car?
Like you win these fire stands. Like by the third car, I'm not gonna get hit by him anymore. You know, that's their main weapon. So,
right. That's what they're using against me. Be on the lookout for cars.
It's been working, so I need to not let that happen anymore.
And they were getting them.
Yeah.
So, but I did like the concept of like an evil Spider-Man, because typically whenever we see Spider-Man, he is a good guy on some level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've never seen a bad one. So I thought that was cool. I guess we'll get into the whole concept. That's a negative. The whole concept of how they got their powers. And the spider bite gives you powers. Why would the spider have that?
Yeah,
that's a negative. We'll
like
talk about that later.
Spider, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why would a spider be like, oh, it's time to eat, so let me bite this thing and give it superpowers?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did like those moments when they were running, from Ezekiel.
Yeah.
You know, I thought those were, those they feel like they resonated a little bit more with me, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know I said I was going to try to, but I was playing devil's advocate. That was,
no, definitely.
Yeah, but like I said, I actually like in those moments it was good. Like the beginning part of it.
Yeah.
You know, when they were showing the mom and she was in the Amazon pregnant, I'm like, but they talk about it and they kind of explain it later,
like a dire situation. You probably wouldn't be there if you didn't need to be there.
Right.
I mean, I don't pregnant,
and I don't know if she really would have known that was a girl, because I don't think they had that technology in '73 where they could look and say, oh, it's going to be a boy or a girl. They weren't doing that back then. So I really don't know how they diagnosed that she knew that she had myasthenia gravis. Which is a real thing. Shout out to people dealing with myasthenia gravis. That hits home for me. So, it's a bitch of a disease.
Yeah.
I think again for me the best parts of the movie was when they all got together. You know, from the train, the subway train or whatever, until it got to the part where she goes to the Amazon or whatever in Peru.
Yeah, she had time to do that.
Yeah. She said, I'll be gone a week. And it's all of a sudden like she's in the balls deep worst part of the Amazon, the most hidden part. Like, how are you
to find that exact
you're just there
location.
And you're like, and your hair's perfect. And like, how are you just there? You know? So,
yeah.
And was the mom a spider scientist to begin with? Like, what?
Yeah, what was she doing? Why would she be?
I mean, it would have been nice to know. Like, was she just like a clerk at a store somewhere, and then she was like, "Oh, you know what? I heard about spiders. Time to go and find the most hidden spider in the world." Kind of thing. So I'm dipping in the negative.
Spiderologist.
Yeah, she's a spiderologist. That's the technical term.
Yeah.
So like I said though, those moments were the ones where I was actually pretty engaged with the story. I was enjoying that aspect of it. I mean, some of it was silly, like, you know, when they're in the diner and they're getting up on the table dancing, and I'm like, all right, like, bring it down a notch.
I don't even. I don't know many teens, but that's a little extreme.
That seems a little extreme. That seems a little extreme, unless there was like, you know, drinking involved, because, you know, I could see them doing something. You know, that was kind of pushing it. Like, I get it. They're young girls and they're having fun.
If I worked in the diner, I'd be like,
what are you doing? Get off the table.
My table.
Pay for the meal. You order like, I don't know why they had so many different, you know, entrees there at the diner. It's like, that's dumb. And like, keep it coming. Like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't walk into a diner and say, keep it coming. Keep
what
coming?
Yeah.
Anywho. Man, we're supposed to be on the positives.
Yeah, we're still on positives.
Yeah.
No, there were moments where like the pacing was good. Like there were good like moments where the pacing between the action and stuff. And there were actually a couple moments where I looked up and be like, oh, I'm actually kind of engaged right now. I'm not hating this right now.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of the subway stuff and like maybe into like by the time when they got to the fort, I think those moments I was like, oh, this actually isn't that bad. I don't know why everyone's saying this is the worst movie ever. Yeah, obviously there are a lot of issues with it outside of that, but there were moments where I was like, oh, the pacing's okay, and it's like it's I'm semi interested in what's happening. But those are very few and far between though.
Right. Yeah. I think some people didn't like maybe they didn't like Dakota's acting in it. I thought it was fine. I thought it was good for what she was, how her character was. And I'll say that I think is probably best with the girls, like when she was by herself or when she was maybe dealing with Ben. It didn't feel, I don't know if it's how it was written or whatever, but it didn't feel genuine. It felt just like how they were talking and speaking with each other. It didn't feel
like there was a lot. I mean, I think dialogue wasn't great, but I think also there wasn't a lot of chemistry on set. And I think that there wasn't any rehearsal time is what it sounded like.
Oh, interesting.
They're saying they didn't have time to rehearse anything, so it was really just we're gonna shoot, table read and shoot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think there wasn't a lot of time for them to all bond and stuff. So yeah, that's important. That's really important to a movie, to a big, especially a big budget movie. You need time to rehearse. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was noticeable. They're very noticeable. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think I really was like when she showed up to the barbecue. Yeah. And then they were like, oh.
Yeah, everything felt awkward there.
This feels like an AI generated barbecue. Right. And this is what the AI thinks looks natural to humans, but it's not.
That felt like, pretend you're friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So
I agree. That was not great.
Yeah. No, not at all. But yeah, I mean, I've never had a problem with Dakota Johnson either. I think I really liked her in Peanut Butter Falcon with
with Shia?
Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, I liked her in that. I've always thought she was like solid.
Sure.
As an actor for the few times I've seen her. There wasn't any moments where I hated her in this either. A lot of people said she was kind of bland or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of looked at again. I think when she was with those girls. And again, maybe it was like the high intensity moments where there was something going on. To me, it seemed like it was okay. But I could see how it could be interpreted as bland, I suppose.
It just kind of seemed like it was either one, they didn't have a lot to work with for the material, or two, they didn't want to be there. Like they're there for a paycheck. It's one of those two things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
What really doesn't help is when you see these interviews with Dakota, and she's just like,
really, man,
she's so just. She's
very removed. Like she's very removed. She's like not promoting it.
Yeah,
it seems
like I'm here because I'm supposed to be here.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say some stuff, and I'm just gonna wait until I don't have to say stuff anymore.
And even the stuff she's been saying has been kind of funny, but it's not. It's not like helping the movie at all. Yeah. And so so kind of, I don't know. I can't imagine any of them are broke in that movie. Yeah. Like even seeing Adam Scott, man. Adam Scott, like he's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
And
same here. Yeah, he's great.
I mean, and he was fine in this movie. Like he was fine with what he had in this movie. I think it's kind of funny seeing good actors in bad movies,
Yeah. And when they have like the bad dialogue.
Yeah. It's like, it's really hard. Yeah. But I think he was fine in this, but again, like there were notable people in this movie, and why did they all sign on? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I wonder about that.
It's like they don't know. I think, maybe again it goes back to the managers, or they're thinking, the superhero stuff is hot right now, and it's like it's kind of not.
It's not.
Actually, and it's like maybe they were thinking it was going to be some big Marvel project with crossover potential, and it's like, nah, it's not Marvel.
Yeah, it's not Marvel
at all. And whatever Sony's doing, they need to stop.
Yeah.
They got so much slated, so much that they want to do,
and none of it's working so far.
None of it is good.
None of it's working. Yeah, none of it's good.
And that being said, this is probably, in my opinion, this might be one of the best ones. I saw the first Venom. I haven't seen the second one. There's a third one coming out.
Yeah.
But this, in all honesty, this might be the better of the Sony projects, in all honesty. Like I said, I've seen Morbius, and I still will stand by Morbius. Morbius might be one of the worst things.
Yeah.
That's...
Well, I mean, would you count Spider-Verse as something they did? Because that is their
That's
movie.
True, yeah. The only difference, I mean, obviously the difference is it's animated. Yeah. So it's a little bit different. and it doesn't really connect. They're trying to connect all the live action stuff. Yeah.
Nah, that shit ain't working.
Yeah, you guys,
But like how do you like have a home run, a grand slam home run with Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
Like this is the same studio. Like you guys have the team that wrote it. You guys have a team that directed it. I mean, animation's different in a lot of ways, but good voice acting, good story, and you care about the character. You care about all these characters in this movie. Like, how'd you do it there, but you can't do it in any of your other movies? Yeah, the Spider movies, you know?
Yeah, they clearly have two different camps going on within the studio, and I swear I think it seems like they're trying to do what Marvel did, years ago, and they're chasing that build up or that connection or that link.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the Sony thing would be building up to. They haven't said anything. They haven't established anything. They started to a little bit with in Morbius. They started to. They made it kind of seem like, I don't know, some kind of Sinister Six thing was going to be getting together.
But it doesn't really make sense because like now it's like, well, that like it was Vulture that was in that, right?
Yes.
So like he's from the MCU universe,
right?
Not necessarily the same universe as this one.
Yeah.
And they've already established that Venom's in a different universe because he's in the post-credit scene of No Way Home.
Yeah.
But he's from a different universe. He's established that because he's like there by accident. Mm-hmm. And then also Madam Web is also not like
they're saying that's its own separate thing,
own universe as well. So like what's what in this, man? Are they all separate universes?
Yeah, but they could throw them all together because again, with the Vulture, he was in a whole different universe. But I believe the way I remember it is I want to say like a portal opened up in his cell and he walked through it, and that's how he got away. That's how he escaped.
Oh, okay.
They put like zero thought into it.
Got it.
Something stupid, and then he showed up in Morbius saying, "Hey, why don't you work with me?" And Morbius is like, "Okay." I'm like, it's like.
Sure.
Stupid. He literally like kind of walks up, meets them, like, "Hey, you're cool. Why don't you work with me?" Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Not who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are you from?
Exactly. Yeah, like give me your name. Like, where'd you come from? How'd you know I was here?
Yeah. Yeah. No. But yes. Yeah. I don't know. Any more positives, actually?
Not too much.
Yeah.
Not too much.
I'm not gonna like lay into because there are so many issues with movies.
Yeah, it's almost like it feels like punching down. It's like
and there are a lot of people that are gonna be talking about this, and so they're gonna pick it apart. And there are a lot of things that we can say about it. And I mean I don't need to get into the nitty gritty of things, but like the first thing I'm gonna say is that this was a very inexperienced team. Like this is the director's first feature film. And the last thing that she did was the canceled Game of Thrones prequel.
I heard about that.
Something like that. And that was canceled because, like, for whatever reason.
That never even launched, right?
Yeah, because I guess it wasn't good. It wasn't up to par or whatever. So they scrapped the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it messed up the canon of everything else, right?
Exactly. So they canceled that.
Yeah.
So that's the last thing that she was supposed to have been doing. So this is her first feature film. And it's very clear that this was a young team putting this movie together. And she's not young, I think. Young, not young. But like young as a filmmaker, as a feature filmmaker. And it's very clear that they were inexperienced because if you look at the storytelling, if you look at how it was shot, like the cinematography was horrible.
It was weird. They kept flipping the camera and doing all the
weird stuff and like
and just twisting it all the
it was very and it wasn't good, man. It wasn't good at all. Like,
it did. There was no need to do.
Yeah, it those really weird shots like that, or just really just static, boring, 3 camera shots. Like wide shot, close up, over the shoulder. And it's like very simple, basic film school stuff. Like I learned in the one semester I was in film school.
Yeah.
That's what I was learned, So like it's really basic stuff, and so like it was very not linear. There was like nothing added up. Like the shots were bad, the story was bad, the direction and the actors weren't great. It was all very apparent that this was not a very experienced team that put it together, and that shows. Like it really shows. And like I haven't made a feature film yet, so I'm probably gonna have a lot of issues with my first movie that I make.
Yeah, right.
But still, though, like it's very clear that this was not going to be a good project.
Yeah.
And my thing is, how did this get so far?
Yeah.
To the point where it got released in major theaters.
That's what I was going to say, right? Yeah, they should have, because it is a major studio, they should have checks and balances or something in place.
Yeah, right.
A support system in place for the director, actor, producers, blah blah blah.
Yeah, like how did it pass so many people? To be okay. Like all right, that's good. It's good to go. And I know there's a lot of like they're saying there are a lot of other like even Dakota Johnson saying that the script was different when she came on. Like it was completely different when she came on. Made a lot of changes because they couldn't. Well, one was they couldn't get some rights because I guess they wanted to put references to Spider-Man, but I guess MCU was like, no, well, our Spider-Man you can't use. That's in the contract.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about bringing Andrew Garfield back for it somehow to connect. Yeah. And then, so there, it seemed like, and if you actually watch it and pay attention to it, it does seem like maybe there was another movie, or there was something like they had to put together this Frankenstein movie because they had to change it so much or whatever for some reason. Yeah, it seemed like there was a different movie maybe in here somehow at some point, but what we got was just what they could kind of like salvage. Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how it made it. I don't know how this end product made it to where we got. I can't imagine this is any better than what that Batgirl movie is going to be like, the one they scrapped. Yeah, DC decided not release. You know, so yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how it got that far.
Yeah.
I
man, I don't know either. And it's weird because the movie, like like we were saying, it kind of seems like maybe it's a little bit of a prequel for Madam Web, I suppose. I was okay with them not showing any of them in costume. I mean, they show these little clips of like these glimpses of the future. You
okay with not seeing Sydney Sweeney in a skin tight costume?
Well, listen, I would love to see. Well, they did kind of show it a little bit. I would love to see that all throughout.
Yeah.
All four of you go for it. Go for it. Go get it done. Go do it.
No, I mean, I didn't hate that, but I think I didn't like that it was advertised. That it was like they're advertising this is like
that was going to be
like a Spider-Girl movie.
Right.
But it literally, I think it's 45 seconds of screen time of them in costume.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And it's like it's like, oh,
and it's at different points too. It's not like a straight 45 seconds either.
Yeah, it's the beginning and the middle and the end. Or beginning and the end. Yeah, basically. And it's just like, why would you advertise that and expect, and at the very least, we're going to see some spider action?
Yeah, and you don't see anything.
And you don't see any of it.
Right.
Yeah. And so my issue was the advertising of it. Yeah. Like, I think they purposely were like, oh, if we can get people out because we're putting these girls in costume, maybe they're gonna like that. But that's all. What you see in the trailer is all you see in the movie. You know what I mean? That was kind of like. It's a bit of a misdirect, and I did it on purpose.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the people are going to watch the movie at some point, so they're going to be like, wait a minute, they're not even in here. They're not doing it. So, yeah. I know one, again, maybe it's a nitpick, I suppose. Like, so they went with a younger take on Madam Web or whatever, which is fine. Like, I think I would have preferred maybe to see Madam Web. Like, it seemed like she didn't have any spider powers, right? Like, the only thing, like, she had, like, all the boxes that get checked off for spider powers: agility, strength, spider sense. I was gonna say something else. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sticking to the walls.
Sticky hands.
Yeah, sticky hands. She got none of that except for the spider sense, like just dialed up to 11 kind of thing. So it could have been interesting to see a character using her powers but still being a superhero in that way. But she doesn't have anything else necessarily. Yeah. You know what I mean? It would have almost been like, like if you take Groundhog Day and you mix it with, whatever. But, that's how she could have used her power, which could have been cool. I wish they would have done something more like that as opposed to turning her into, and they really forced it, turning her into like the comic book version of Madam Web, where she's in a wheelchair. She's lost her, by the end of it, like all of a sudden, like in one fell swoop, she lost her vision.
A firework to the face made her paralyzed?
To the side of her face,
made her blind and paralyzed?
Blind and paralyzed. Like, what? How? Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, just pace yourselves. I mean, maybe make a second movie where she's in costume and she's being, Madam Web, and maybe she gets her butt kicked a little bit, and then by the time if you were going to do a trilogy, it's not a race. You don't have to do it all in one shot. They forced that so hard at the end. Maybe using her power so much made her blind. I mean, there could have been some more clever ways to do it than again, like a Roman candle to the side of your face and does all this stuff. But yeah, these weird spider people that were running around. There's a spider that, like I said, spider that bites you and gives you powers. Yeah, that seems very counterproductive for the spider, because all the spider's trying to do is just bite stuff and drain it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So why? Yeah. Before it's like a genetically engineered spider.
Exactly. Yeah. Now it's just
just some spider.
Yeah.
Deep in the jungle.
They're just out there.
Yeah.
They're just out there.
Yeah. So we don't need it. Yeah. We don't even need that. Yeah.
And it's so deep in the jungle, like a rookie could, get to it. Just walk up to it.
Walk up to it. Find that exact spot in the huge Amazon. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then be back in New York or wherever she was.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No. There were. Well, I don't know. I think I screwed this up somehow, but some lights on.
There you go.
Anyway, pay no mind, guys. Pay no mind.
There you go.
But yeah. Again, man, there are a lot of things that were bad about the movie, but like, I'll just run through a couple of them. Like the villain, who was he? Why was he doing what he was doing?
Yeah.
Like he kept saying like, I gotta they're gonna ruin everything I've worked for. Like, what have you worked for? What are you working for? What have you done? Who are you? Why do you matter? Like, why are you a villain? There's no arc to him at all. He's just a dude.
Right. The only thing he said was like, nobody helped me when I was a kid, or like I was starving. I don't know, whatever he said before he shot everybody.
Yeah.
And next thing we know, we see him. He's at the Met. He's at the opera, and he's apparently got money and whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what? Yeah. A little bit of tell us why he's such a badass. I mean, I get it. He's got spider powers.
Right. Yeah.
Great. But was he a kingpin kind of thing? Was he robbing people? Was he doing like espionage kind of stuff? And he's, just a little bit of.
We have no idea who this guy is and why he's doing what he's doing.
And again, everybody loves Spider-Man, but I thought it was cool to see like a bad Spider-Man, like an evil Spider-Man. So it would have been cool to see what, like, almost not really what Peter Parker could have been like or would have been like under different circumstances. But show somebody with Spider-Man abilities doing it for all the wrong reasons. Like, show how dangerous that would be. And then that would make that guy scary.
Yeah. Exactly. But
but they did not.
They didn't. Yeah, no. And again, I think it all comes down to like this inexperience of the team, because there are a lot of things like that, right? So like, this was one thing that I noticed, that they had a voiceover all of his dialogue. So if you actually watch him talk, none of his
I think I heard
they
about
don't
that too,
really match up to what he's saying, and even like the pacing of what he's saying, they had to do that. I think it's called ADR, where they do the add the sound later.
Yeah.
So maybe whatever his acting or his voice wasn't matching up, so they had to like add a different actor and do different voices later. And it's very clear. So like, they messed up something really big in the film while they're making the movie.
That's crazy.
They had to add it later, and it was really, really noticeable.
Yeah.
There's like another thing. This is like something I would have done in 7th grade. Like there's this part where they like, when they're getting in the motel, and they're shooting out the window that says ice on it.
Yeah.
And in the next scene, Arania's talking about, my dad was deported. And I was like, I felt like, when they're trying to be cute, like, ice. Deported. We're trying to be a little more, trying to add a little extra layer to the background. And I was like, I hope that was by accident. I hope they're just trying to get a night, trying to be creative by shooting out the ice machine room.
Yeah.
But it was like clearly ice on the window, and the next thing she's talking about her dad getting deported. And I was like, that's like so not clever. That's really, you're not being clever with shooting that and like, oh hey, ice machine. Double meanings, ice, but also ice. Yeah. You know, I mean, like that. And I watched it. I was like, hold on a second. What is that?
Yeah.
Like, are you guys trying to be cute? Like trying to be like I'm trying to be clever with your shots? And I was like, that's something I would have done when I was a kid. Like, I would have put something in the background to kind of make it look like, double funny meaning thing.
Right. See how deep?
Yeah, but it was horrible like that. So like stuff like that, like it was just very clear how they didn't put any thought into this movie, or they thought they did and they didn't. Yeah. There's other dumb things, like it was inconsistent. Like, so they hit him with the car a couple times.
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
And he dies by the giant Pepsi sign.
Yeah, that was
Which probably I don't know is as big as force wise as a car. Why was there a giant Pepsi sign on a firework factory?
Oh, that's right. They were at the firework factory. That's true. That's
firework factory with the Pepsi Cola sign on top of it. I'm not sure. I've only been to New York twice. I'm not sure if that's a thing.
That's how they do things.
They just put but I don't know. It's just I know about this fireworks factory. Let's go there and light it on fire. Maybe we can get away. I don't know. It was like really just like let's do this and let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then we have a movie. Like it just didn't like it really like nothing flowed right. Like nothing like it just didn't nothing made sense to me. Like the movie was just really like all over the place.
Yeah, and then at the end of it, when she kind of splits herself into 3 different entities, and they actually can physically
like
like that would have been. I mean, if you're gonna do something like that, you got to set that up.
Yeah,
you really got to set it up. You know what I mean? Even if it's like, she kind of splits off and it touches something and it bumps it and knocks it over. It doesn't have to be the full on. She's grabbing and doing something with it.
Right.
But all of a sudden, like this power erupts out of her.
Physical astral projection thing.
Yeah. And they kind of show it like when she's in the water and she has this weird little, she has that, sequence where she's going back in time and seeing things. I think they show something where it shows these images splitting off. Of her, but all it is just images kind of splitting off. You don't know what's going on with it. So just a little bit of a establishing, because once you do it at the end, it feels, it's so hokey that it's just like this crazy, out of nowhere. What is it like that ex machina or whatever they call that kind of thing? It's like exactly. It's like all of a sudden this kind of. She has the power to do this weird thing that we've never seen her do before and have no reason to think she could do.
And then she does it.
And then she does it.
Yeah.
And then she does it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it really, the ending of it wasn't great. Yeah, the beginning part was a little, you kind of look at it too, but.
Yeah, a little sideways as well, yeah. I think, I don't know. I don't have much more to say. I think I did want to talk. This is more of a, I don't know, this is kind of just a random thought, right?
Yeah.
That there were attractive people in this movie, right? I think Dakota Johnson is attractive. I think the girls that got to play the Spider Girls were all attractive as well. And that like, especially Sydney Sweeney, she is like America's sex symbol now at this point, right now. And to put her in a movie, and she's on the rise right now. I think she has a big career ahead of her. And to put her in this movie, you'd think that would draw people and make it worth seeing.
Yeah.
And like putting these people like, and including Adam Scott, people that are like good actors, loading them up in this movie like doesn't make it worth seeing. I think.
Right.
Which is kind of like weird to me. I think. But I had this thought. This is the kind of I'll talk about. I had this thought like where with my girlfriend, and I'm not saying it's because she's a girl, but she can watch a movie with an attractive male in there, regardless if the movie's good or not, and like it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I don't like the Aquaman movies.
Yeah.
But she'll watch them because of Jason Momoa, and then just automatically it's a good movie.
Right.
Like and I'm kind of lucky that she likes Orlando Bloom, so we get to watch Lord of the Rings all the time because I love Lord of the Rings. So yeah, so we get those or Pirates of the Caribbean, those kind of movies, So sometimes it's good, but it's kind of weird to me that like even if you put this like super attractive female cast, and it's not enough to not enough to bring in the male audience.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And typically that would be. Yeah, that would be half the battle. I mean, that would get you the numbers you want just because. There's that skin factor, so to speak.
Yeah,
and there's not a lot of that in there. Yeah, the eye candy. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of interesting for me to think about that. It's like, even us as guys, as the dogs that we are. This movie it didn't make the movie worth seeing, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's weird too because it like let's say somebody else got their hands on it and they just leaned into that. They put them in their outfits and they put them out there and they're all beautiful in their outfits and everybody's going to see it, and then you'd have the backlash of you're taking advantage,
you're
using them, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's always been the case with movies. I don't know, maybe they think that's a bad thing, I suppose, but as long as there have been movies, there have always been attractive movie stars. That's
goes hand in hand.
That goes hand in hand. That's never going to end. That's never you're not going to get rid of that. You can have actors that maybe don't fit your typical definition of, being sexy, attractive, blah blah blah, but you're always going to want to see, beautiful people on the screen. That's it. Yeah, like you said, it goes hand in hand. So
but I think they had this thought where probably is like, it's a superhero movie.
Yeah,
superhero movies are big.
Yeah,
and they're not. And I think they're not as big as they were.
Yeah, they're definitely waning. Right.
Yeah. And they're like, it's superhero movie, young cast, attractive people, notable people. And we got that's a pretty good. That's two for three, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about the story. We don't have to worry about this, but we have that going. I think that's enough for the formula to get returned. And I think that's not. I think it's not enough,
right?
Anymore in this day and age. I think it's not. And I think superhero movies for a while were a quick buck. It seemed like it was like, this is a sure thing.
Yeah.
Put a superhero movie out, we're gonna make money. And now I think we're past that point. I think we're
definitely.
And this movie seems to be the one that put the nail in the coffin. Like this one to me is like I mean, the Marvels didn't do well either.
Yeah.
Box office wise.
Right.
But this one to me seems like it's very clear now that you can't just have a superhero movie and that's it. And ride that to the box office, the big box office, Like, it's not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
So I think this really not that it's the fault of this movie, but there's been enough now where it's just there's a problem,
right?
And these aren't doing as well as they were.
Yeah, but I wonder what's going to happen though. I wonder is that going to make them stop, or they're going to be like, "Wow, that didn't work. Let's try it again. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try it again."
Yeah,
because they have so many things that they've latched onto, Sony, that they want to do. They just might be thinking we gotta just keep going for it. They just they just are probably looking at what it was like in 10 years ago, when all these movies were at their zenith, and they're thinking like that's all they can see. They're not looking at all the stuff that's happened in between. They're not looking at all the stuff that's happening right now where that is not jiving with the movie going community, and they're just focused on, oh, remember how great that was back there when there were billions and billions of dollars? We want that. So let's just keep putting out movies. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. You would think someone somewhere is going to say, hey, this isn't working. This, we need to stop, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, and Sony is so bad at it. Yeah. Sony is so bad at these movies. Yeah. They are not great. I mean, man, even like it started with Spider-Man 3, in all honesty, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like the last good superhero movie that Sony put out was Spider-Man 2. With really? And then after that, like I didn't care for the Venom movies. I wasn't impressed with those. Yeah. They came out so much later than those Spider-Man movies, and the special effects looked exactly the same. Like the Venom and the way the symbiote moved and the way it looked exactly the same as in Spider-Man 3. And it's like, you guys haven't improved it. You haven't done anything better.
Like, man, that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, and it wasn't great. It really wasn't great back then, in all honesty. It's so strange. And I think we talked about this on the show a long time ago. It's almost like they have all these scripts that have already been written, and they are written 15 years ago. Yeah. And they're like, just keep doing those. Put those scripts out, because those are superhero scripts, and that's what people want. It's like, the audience has changed a little bit now. They're not letting you get away with just putting a superhero on the screen and it's going to be big action, and that's all it takes. Yeah. We've talked about, like, with Blue Beetle, Black Adam. Black Adam, it really wasn't like terrible, but there wasn't anything special about it either. Yeah. Kind of the same thing even with Blue Beetle. They were just these, and I think we said, if these movies had came out like 10 years prior,
Yeah.
They probably would have been big hits.
Yeah, it would have done really well.
Yeah, but not anymore.
Mm-hmm. I think Blue Beetle specifically, probably would have really done well.
Yeah.
At that time. Black Adam too, though. I think Black Adam also. It had all the ingredients.
Yeah, it did. It checked off a lot of stuff, right?
For that. Like literally the base needs for a superhero movie.
Yeah.
It had these movies had those.
Yeah.
But that was cool 10 years ago.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you didn't have to put that much thought into it like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? You could just special effects, big name, and a superhero title. Yeah. That's a hit.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to make your money back and you're gold. But yeah, no one's buying that anymore. And it's, man, like what are we missing? What am I missing that I don't, that it seems so obvious.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they keep doing it. You know what I mean? Like what's, and again, I don't know how guilty Sony is of this. And I think we've talked about on the show a bunch of times. It feels like they make these movies for themselves so they can pat themselves on the back and be like, look what we did. We did a great thing. I feel like Disney caught a lot of flack years and years and years ago about how their projects were, this was racist, it was sexist, and blah, blah, blah. And I think they didn't like it. And now it feels like they're trying to correct all that stuff clearly with all these remakes and all the other junk that they're doing. Yeah. So that way, like 50 years from now, when people look back, they're going to say, oh, Disney was doing the right thing back then. They were doing the, positive this, positive that. Because, 50 years ago or, 60, 70 years ago, Disney, the stuff they put out was questionable. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they got away with it back then, and
different times, I guess.
It's a different time, right? So it is what it is. I mean, you have to learn, and we talked about this before too. You have to learn how to like certain things, and I don't want to say ignore, but don't be bogged down by the negative aspects of it. You know what I mean? Like people can say whatever they want about. I don't know if they have anything negative to say about Pinocchio, the animated movie that came out. Back in 40 something or whatever, or Dumbo or whatever. Sure, we're like with the crows and all that kind of stuff. You have to be able to say, okay, that was messed up and wrong, but it's not going to make me hate Dumbo. I'm not going to be able to watch it ever again, kind of thing.
Yeah. Sort of hate the artist.
But not the art.
Kind of
exactly.
Yeah,
That's it. Exactly.
Like the same
That's
thing.
it. Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like they're trying to compensate for that now. I feel like they're, again, when they're talked about 50 years from now, they want to be able to say, look what all, look at all the great stuff we did.
Oh, yeah. We did some great progressive stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I otherwise, I don't know why you would do all the stuff that you're doing, and I think Iger's come out and he said, we got to take a few steps back and, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It could be why there's only one Marvel movie coming out this year, which is the Deadpool Wolverine one.
Right.
That's the only one we're getting released in the whole year. So maybe they are trying to take a step back, like less volume, maybe get back to
the quality.
Yeah. The quality was what people like about it.
Right.
Because it's clear that they're not doing that.
Yeah. But the thing though too is like I don't want to see another, like I don't want to see what they did back then. I think you said this too, like 100 years ago. Like I think you were kind of making the comment like, okay, you did this and that's great, but now what? Show me what you got now. And
so I was being progressive is what you're saying.
Every once in a while. Not once. You did it once. No, you never did it. You never did it at all. You're not even on this show right now. I'm going to keep walking everything back. I'm going to walk everything back. But like I don't want to see like if the quality is them, kind of redoing what they did with whatever movie you want to mention in their past. Yeah. Like I don't want to see that anymore. You need to do something. You need to do something new. You need to do something. I mean, I don't know. You need to write something better. You need to get better writers.
Or not be afraid to try something different.
Yeah,
because they've always been in that box. And the box did well for a long time,
right?
But now that box isn't working.
Yeah,
and if they try to go back to that box, it's gonna come off like Blue Beetle or Black Adam.
Or Black Adam.
We've seen this already.
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen this already. You guys did this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm really nervous about like, cause they Fantastic Four, they got the cast announced already.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're gonna put some quality into this Secret Wars stuff and all kind of the multiverse stuff, and that's fine, like whatever. But it can't be just Endgame now again. You know,
yeah, Endgame again.
Yeah, right. Or even Endgame, I'm not a big fan of, but the Infinity Saga, Infinity Saga again.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was great because we've never seen it before.
Yeah.
But if you do that again over here with the Fantastic Four or the X-Men or whatever, it's not gonna make it any better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm curious about that too, because I know, again, going back, and I think in our Iron Man episode, which was like episode 1, right?
It might have been might have been episode 1. Yeah,
I think it might have been episode 1.
Yeah,
that I think I was making the comment like I feel like in the next 5 years that they're going to do something, different. As I recall, because I remember listening to it like a long time, like a few months ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of getting close to that time. You know what I mean? Let's see what happens. Like, are they going to figure out that this stuff isn't working and just make some be different and make some good movies? Don't redo what you did. Like you said, be clever, come up with something new, something original, something inventive, creative, and just give us some quality stuff. Like I said, they had to figure it out. They have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's around that time. So
because now and like we can always say that like it's like for me the movies kind of dropped off in phase 3, right? I think like Thor Ragnarok, Guardians 2, like that era. I was getting really tired of Marvel movies back then, but they're still making millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, so they're still gonna make those.
Right.
But now, now the issue is they're not making money. So now they're actually looking at like, okay, well now what's the actual problem?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, is that no one wants to pay to see the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And so, so I think that's what's gonna have to change now. Like now we're getting to a point where they have to like really be like, okay, well, we weren't gonna listen to you because we were still making money. Yeah. So we don't care. But now we gotta listen to, or at least take a hard look at ourselves and realize why we're not making money.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where it's gonna count. Like it's gonna. I think the same thing was gonna be for like the Ray movie coming out, right? Like that's going to be a proving ground to see if your fans want to see this or not. Yeah. Because we've seen the sequels now. Like the first movie, like, I think Force Awakens made like $2 billion. Like made a lot of money, right? Wasn't really great.
Yeah, not at all.
But it made $2 billion. Yeah. And then Last Jedi, or not Last Jedi, the second one. Yeah, Last Jedi, right? I don't know what it's called. Yeah. Return of the Jedi. No, not Return of the Jedi. Last Jedi. I think it's Last Jedi. That made a lot of money too. Rise of Skywalker made good money. Yeah. It didn't make as much as the first two did, but it made good money. And so it's like at the end of the day, their board's like, yeah, we made money, so we're good. Yeah, that's all we care about. We made money.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, she's making. Kathleen Kennedy's making money. Keep her in there, right? So now we're getting to a point where maybe they're not going to make money. Yeah, like if this Ray movie comes out and nobody goes to see it because nobody wants to see it, right? Then they're going to be like, oh, well, we didn't make money on that, so maybe is it a quality issue? Is it a blah blah whatever? And so maybe that now they'll start to pay attention to what's going on. Yeah, maybe.
Hopefully. Yeah.
So the point is, stop paying for these shitty movies, guys.
Yeah.
Don't go watch the movies that are shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your foot down.
Or if you don't want to see it, don't see it. You know what I mean? That's all it is.
That's been my take with Ray. Yeah. I've already gone on record. I ain't watching it, but
yeah, same. I'm not. I might go back on it, but I don't want to watch the James Gunn Superman. Like, I do not want to see what he's gonna do with it.
At all. That's cool. I've taken that stance with the Ray movie. If you want to take that stance with the James Gunn Superman, that's cool. Like I'll watch it. You watch the Ray movie, and we'll. Yeah. You'll come at it as someone that hasn't seen it. I'll come at the Ray movie as someone that hasn't seen it, and
that's what I have to do. Yeah. I fucking don't want to see what James Gunn's gonna do with it.
I respect it.
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of the take, talk, right? Yeah.
I don't think we need to get into the nitty gritty of all the
there's a lot of stuff.
So many problems with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, worst movie I've ever seen, probably not.
No, not at all. Yeah. In my opinion, it's not the worst superhero movie I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen some bad movies out there.
Yeah, I still might put that on Morbius.
Mm.
Or Thor.
Love and Thunder?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you hate that one,
You know I did.
Yeah.
You know I did.
But yeah, but at the end of the day, it's still not a great movie though.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely a problem with the superhero genre, movie genre right now. And this is a big part of that. This style of this approach to it.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. Like I didn't walk away like angry. You know what I mean with this movie. So
same.
So what would you give it as a like skip it, stream it?
Oh,
drop what you're doing.
I'd probably
drop what you're doing.
Skip it.
Drop what you're doing.
I would definitely skip it. There's not much to take away from it. If you're, I don't know, like if you really have nothing else to do, I guess you can watch it. But man, there's really not a lot to take from it. You know.
Yeah, there is not a lot. I think again for me, what I did like was. And again, I would love to see all of them in their superhero outfits. You know, that was what we did see was fantastic. Love to have seen more. I did like though that it wasn't that kind of superhero movie. You know, I was actually okay with that aspect of it. I didn't need to see them like why would they in that situation like put on costumes or whatever. So especially when they don't even have their powers yet, some of them. So. That I was okay with that aspect of it. So for that reason, it is a little bit different. I don't know if I'm somewhere between the skip it and, you know, add it to your queue or have it on your list or whatever. I think some people, again, if you're into superhero stuff, you're going to watch it just out of like curiosity. You want to see what's going on yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe wait for it to, you know, become, you know, to stream before you watch it is probably a good way to go. I know it's not one of our lists, but going to pay to see it unless you really just want to do it. Yeah. But otherwise, just wait for it to come out on whenever and add it to your list and watch it when you can. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a percentage for it or are you gonna stick with that?
I mean, yeah.
You got the point across. Yeah,
50%, 45%. Doesn't matter. At that point, it's really low. For me. Yeah,
I might give it like maybe like a 57, 58.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean there were some more stuff I would have liked to have seen, different. You got anything that you think that you would want to have seen in that movie instead? Like what would you have liked to have seen, or do you wish they would have done?
I think just a better story with some better character development, like just seeing them seeing them change, you know, seeing the characters change. I mean, I think Dakota, Cassie changed in a way. They did try to show that she wasn't a people person in the beginning, and now she is the mother of these orphans. They're not really orphans.
They're not. They're not orphans.
But how did you even get them legally? Anyway, that's not.
Maybe she did. Maybe they were just over there visiting with her.
Maybe, but to get to the point where she's calling them, she's like, oh yeah, they're all my own, like in the hospital.
Yeah.
As immediate family, they're all mine. I was like, okay, this is a little much, but like I would like to see a little bit more development there. But then also, I think there could have been some great stories, like I was saying earlier, with the seeing into the future. Yeah. And like dealing with the consequences, not being able to stop everything.
That would have been a better way to go.
There would have been way more things in there. And then also and tying that in with her becoming the person she needs to be for those girls. Like there could have been a lot more in there that could
I like how much she didn't like them to start off with. I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm. But I think they just didn't, it wasn't strong at all. But I don't know. Cool.
That's cool.
Looking me over this?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. All right. That's what we're talking on Madam Web.
That's Madam Web. Madam Web.
Anything we're in? Yeah.
If you want to watch it or
not. Anything we're into before we wrap up?
You know what? I started watching. Well, I shouldn't say I started watching. I watched a little bit of Jujutsu Kaisen again.
Okay.
I went back and started watching some of the episodes, just a little bit, just to But it's cool. I watched a little bit of Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh yeah,
or whatever. Great, loved it. I was watching a lot of short things. So that and Star Wars Visions.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking about like, what's something good I can watch on Disney Plus? You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, I can't think of anything. So let me watch Visions. Let me watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it, though. I think. What about you?
Same. My girlfriend and I are watching the extended edition of Lord of the Rings. It's like
that's also what I watched.
Oh yeah.
I think yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Oh, nice.
I watched the Two Towers.
Yeah,
I've seen the Fellowship like maybe a little while ago. So.
Okay, yeah, we watched Fellowship maybe 2 weeks ago because she hadn't seen the extended editions. Actually, I don't think I have either.
Okay.
So yeah, I watched the Fellowship.
I do love that they have the extended editions.
Yeah, they're great, man. Dude, Fellowship was so good. The extended edition was amazing. That, it was way really really good.
Yeah.
Two Towers was good. The extended edition it was kind of long. A lot of filler. It felt like to me in some areas, but still.
Yeah, they did have
though.
some little lines and all that.
Yeah, there's a lot of like extra scenes that didn't really need. I see why they're taken out. But for Fellowship, man, God, that was epic, man.
I think that's probably my favorite out of. I mean, I've seen the Fellowship more than I've seen any of the other two movies.
Yeah,
that might be my favorite one.
I think it might be shifting because I at first I think Two Towers was my favorite for a long time. And then after seeing Fellowship again this time around, man, I was like, dude, this is amazing, very good. So yeah, I think I'm we're gonna watch Return of the King I think this weekend.
Right on. Cool,
that's like 4.5 hours, man.
Is it the extended? Yeah. Well, yeah, they're all super long.
Super long, yeah. But like nothing's left out though, which is great. So, but yeah, I've been doing that. Then I watched the what's his name, DiStefano. He's a comedian. Chris DiStefano, maybe. I think it's Chris DiStefano. Yeah, he has like a 40-minute special.
Okay.
On Netflix, he actually recorded it himself and put it on YouTube. And then Netflix bought it from him.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
nice.
It's pretty funny.
That's cool.
I thought he was gonna be because I've heard him on some podcasts. He's really funny. I thought his stand would be a little bit funnier, but it's pretty funny though.
So good,
There's some really good lines that are really funny. So did that, and that's basically it.
Nice. Cool.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it, man.
We did
it.
Yeah, cool. Let's check out our talk on Madam Web. Next week, if you guys want to get ready for it, we're going to be covering The Last Airbender, Avatar Last Airbender, live action on Netflix. It's Netflix, right?
It is Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
It's coming out on the 22nd, Thursday.
Yes. All 8 episodes are coming out at the same time. So we're going to binge them in 2 days and talk about it on the show.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to keep up, you do this. Well, we'll record it 2 days after. The show won't come out to another week. So
right. Yeah. But I've got a sneaky suspicion a lot of people are going to tune into that.
Watch it on the day of,
and a lot of people are going to be very critical of it. So
yeah, this one has a lot of pressure because of how beloved the Avatar is and how bad the last live action version was.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And I've heard people, already kind of complaining about how characters look and how they can't get certain characters done right from the animated series into a live action. I'm gonna disagree for now.
Yeah,
I think it can be done if it's done well, if it's done.
Yeah,
if they do it smart.
And also,
One Piece worked.
It's animated, so
it's gonna be different.
Some things you can't replicate. Yeah,
like cartoon characters can do different things than people can.
Like we were saying, Rosario Dawson, she was like talking to her stunt coordinator. And like watching clips of Ahsoka in the anime, she was like, "Okay, how do we do that?" And then the stunt coordinator was like, "That's physically impossible for you to do that. That's an animated character.
We cannot do that.
We cannot physically. Your body physically can't do that."
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, okay. So that's how it is, guys.
Yeah.
This is real life.
Yeah.
Some things you can't do, the animated characters can." So, but yeah, so we're covering next week, and we're pretty excited for it. Otherwise, that's it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
That's
thanks for tuning in. As always, it's been great. We're doing our thing and doing this thing. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's a long day. But yeah.
Contest still going on.
Contest going on. Keep checking out every Wednesday and Friday for that. Make sure you're following us and Wilbur. Yeah, if you can, check us out. We didn't do any where we're at, but we're at the Got Spot everywhere and Geek Off The Street on Facebook. Leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and one on Apple. And you can even write something. But yeah.
And send us money.
We do like money too.
Yeah, we do.
Money's great. Anyway,
that's it.
As always, from Geek Off The Street, my name is Trent.
And my name is Marc.
And this has been
Geek Off The Street. That's the first time you finished your beverage.
Yeah, I was actually like enjoying it. I was just sucking it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I was starting to actually like the taste after a while. I had to make like